Hello and welcome to episode 221 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the amazing Chris Beven Lee from the awesome band The Ever Living. This is a band that I've only discovered over the last 6 months and they're phenomenal. This is a band that have just released a brand new album called Artificial Devices, and as you're listening to this interview, please go and check it out. You can stream it on any platform like Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your music. But once you do, let me know, because I believe this band are phenomenal. They're only a 2-piece and honestly, they're just so good. And I promise you the interview is great and coming up in just a couple of moments' time. What I always like to do on Mark and Me is use the intro to touch base and talk about my last episode. It was over a couple of weeks ago, but hey, I did go and get married, I went on a honeymoon and I had a bit of time off, so I think that's a good enough excuse. I was joined on episode 220 by Danny from the incredible band Dune Rats. A really funny interview, so much energy, so silly, but the response was fantastic. So thanks to everyone that tuned in and listened to that interview, shared it, and just overall gave me some incredible response. But as I said, today's interview is all about the amazing band The Ever Living. So I think the best thing to do right now is to get to that interview. So here's me and Chris talking all things music. So Chris, thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. What I like to do with the guests on the podcast is take it right back to the start. I want to know, when you were growing up, what was those first albums that you remember maybe using your pocket money on, or that you remember investing in and absolutely falling in love with?
Guys in rock and metal bands usually say something ridiculous like Slayer, Rain and Blood, or Nirvana, Nevermind. It's obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
So it would have been something, kiddie stuff. I'm pretty sure one of the. I keep telling this to everyone at the moment, but I've got a Sunday routine of watching Top of the Pops repeats, and they're on 93 at the moment. So I just saw it's Charles and Eddie was on there when they had
Would I lie to you?
Exactly. I think that was the first album I bought with money. So that would have been 92-ish. And that would have been, Christmas money. And I think I bought that from a Boots in Southampton on the top level. But yeah, it was probably because I heard that song on Top of the Pops and I quite liked it. And probably never listened to the album. But yeah, it wasn't anything rock and roll, that's for sure.
They're a very one-hit wonder, but I'm not going to lie. I think it was one of my first ever cassette singles. I think I absolutely love that tune. It shows our age, but yeah, amazing.
It's a great tune. Yeah, I didn't buy the single. I went straight for the album. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. Don't know why. I think one of the guys died a couple of years ago. Maybe. I can't remember.
No!
Yeah, I was looking them up recently. Yeah, it's a good tune.
Very good. And then what about live music? So going to your first gig, you can tell me now, oh, it's Metallica, but truthfully was it? What was your first gig that you remember going to see that made this is what I wanted?
It was technically first gig was one in my dream. I remember having a dream when I was at secondary school that I was playing in a band at like the school assembly. I remember waking up thinking that the feeling was amazing. Oh, that's quite, because I wasn't really into that kind of music back then. And then my girlfriend's sister had a band, so I used to go to watch them, and I started getting the bug there. But yeah, first proper gig was Newfound Glory at the Guildhall in Southampton with Finch supporting. And that time was, I was full on sort of Slipknot fan. So we went to go to a gig really. And Finch came out and they opened with Project Mayhem, their sort of, like hardcore track. And we were like, oh, it's super in the mood for something heavy. And that's a great record, actually. I still spin that sometimes. But yeah, a bit different after that, I think.
What It Is to Burn is a hell of an album.
Great, isn't it? Yeah.
Really good. And I remember them, they were like the ultimate sort of emo-y band that people loved and went through. But they were amazing. I saw them live a few times, and the energy they had, I thought they never kind of topped it. I know they brought out a couple more albums, but they never really kind of got the same heights as that.
No, there was that second album, wasn't it? That had a bit of a Faith No More sort of influence, and I think there's a track called Ink, which is really cool chorus. And they did that track for the Underworld film as well, which was really good. Was it Worms of the Earth? That was great.
But that was it.
Yeah,
and
that was
then
cool.
It kind of just, I don't know, it just kind of faded out. So at that point, were you kind of looking at this at the gig thinking it's what you want to do, or was it a bit later on in life?
I think, well, we did a band around then. We were trying to start a band with school friends, and we went on tour with Devil Driver and God Forbid and a couple of other bands, and sort of packed it in for quite a long time, and went to university and moved to London, met my wife, and sort of that rekindled my passion for the music side of things, because she likes a lot of the same stuff as I do. And it's really sort of when we decided that probably weren't going to have kids, and a bit of an early midlife crisis, that I thought, wow, I've probably got some time to sort of dick about in a band. And I think the job at the time wasn't really doing stuff that was creatively fulfilling. So it was a silly idea at the time, and I probably regret doing it, because it's hard work and it's stressful doing something in your 30s from scratch. But yeah, like when I'm sitting there writing, it's very enjoyable.
So that's what I really like, actually. You're very transparent and very honest. And a lot of people come in here and sell the picture that being in a band is the greatest thing in the world and that they could never go a day without it. Now, with you
No.
guys, you just said then sometimes it isn't all, it's all as people want it to be. So is it kind of a struggle? Because, like you said, some bands start now. I was recently at 2000 Trees, and I'm seeing these bands on stage blowing the absolute roof off these tents and stuff. And they're literally in their 20s. I'm like, my God, what I'd do to like shave 20 years off my life. 22-year-olds getting the mic in the crowd. And I'm like you said, in your 30s, it's a bit more effort, it's a bit more energy.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's a business side to it as well. I mean, I find it, to me, it's like it's like it's like an abusive relationship. It's this thing that keeps pulling me back, and I keep wanting to like get away from it, and it just pulls me, it sucks me back in. Um, it's a weird one. I mean, I did the kid thing and the going on tour and getting really drunk and playing shows, and yeah, it's great fun, and I've got really great memories. But it back then it wasn't about the music. It was about, bang some songs together and get on the road.
Yeah.
And doing this again was the complete opposite. It was, maybe we're not going to play live a lot, but we're going to spend not loads of time writing, but that comes first. The music comes first, and then everything else comes second.
Yeah. And I suppose, is it the fact that that mindset of not wanting to rush out because you've got those different commitments in life, like you said, a wife, you've got priorities now, you need to earn money. Does it give you a whole new perspective in the fact that it is all about the music? It is about trying to compose something that you're so proud of, instead of just basically getting pissed and playing in a pub.
Yeah, exactly. I think when we started the band, we did try and do it the traditional way, and found out very quickly that it wasn't going to work that way. And I think after that first record, we were trying very hard. We were taking ourselves very seriously, and that's kind of made me not enjoy it. And I think after that first album came out, I kind of needed a big break. And I think lockdown made me realize that actually it's not a 5-member band. It's the two guys, me and Andy, who write everything 50-50. It's us two, and if we do it live, we'll just find friends to learn the songs and play it with us, and have fun. And yeah, we might not play live, or we might just put a gig together if we feel like it, but we are going to do this in a sustainable way, where we're not going to spend loads of money. We spent loads of money on doing music videos and stuff like that last time, and this time it was, how can we do stuff that looks good for no money? And I designed the artwork, I did all the music videos. So it's just, if we can do it in a sustainable way, then we can be more prolific and put more stuff out, and not take ages between albums.
I mean, that's a really good way to look at it. And a lot of bands' emphasis now is to get on the road as soon as they can, to promote, get on every lineup of festival, every gig they can do, every support stop, because they want people to buy a t-shirt and a vinyl and get the word out there. Do you feel it's a bit more pressure on you because you haven't got the chance to go and hopefully be seen supporting a bigger band in London, or getting on a festival lineup and hope that someone walks past your tent and goes, oh, I'm going to invest? You've kind of got it a bit more of an uphill struggle, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the pressure to play live on the first album. I feel like I'm managing my own expectations this time, so I don't feel the pressure. But I'm very aware that by not doing it this way, I do get worried about how that's perceived, because it might come across as that we're not interested, or that we don't like playing live, or that we're not very good live because we use, everything's done with computers or whatever, which is not the case. Our live shows are great, but we just don't, like you say, we've done the running around playing to 5 people in a pub thing when we were younger, and it's not what it's about this time. And I think the first time we did it, we wanted to be very particular about what shows we played. And actually, when we put that first TB out, we got some great support slots, did a festival, and that was going really well. But it just took a few times that didn't go well for me and Andy to get really bummed out. And we're both quite similar, and it does affect us. And we just thought, you know what, we could just be at home drinking wine with our cats and our partners, and yeah, we'll do it when we know it's going to be good for everyone, us and the crowd, right?
Of course.
I'm sure it's cool for someone to be like the only person in the audience and say, I remember seeing this band and I was the only one there. I'm sure that's great for one person, but not good for us.
No. And with the dynamic of the two of you only kind of having that many brains to write together and kind of be creative, you haven't got too many egos that can come to the room. You haven't got this whole 4 or 5 members where you're trying to always compromise and all of you agree on the same thing. So with you and Andy,
So
it's
good.
quite nice that there's just the two of you just to bounce off each other. And if it doesn't go right, you just go away, come back another day, and it's literally just the two of you.
It's lovely. It's great. That's the best thing about it, and that's why I want it to continue. And I don't want all the other bullshit to ruin it. We did a live stream last Thursday going through the album and talking about it, because we did 4 tracks each. I think he ended up saying there's only one song that we ever, half a song or half an idea that was ever scrapped. Every song that I've started has become a song, and every time a song he started that we shared with each other has become a song. So we're very sort of forgiving and open with each other, and we're very in sync musically. So I'll start a track with drums, keyboards, send it to him. He'll add the guitars and the bass, send it back to me. I'll tweak it around, add vocals, done. And then here, start a track with drums, bass, guitar, send it to me. I'll add keyboards, vocals back to him. And we just do that, and that's how it works. And yeah, you're right. It's so much better when you don't have someone who, for instance, plays the drums and wants to start writing songs, and it's even just a third person coming in, it creates a different dynamic, and it's something that we not really interested in doing. It's just so easier having the two of us doing it.
And with the new album Artificial Devices, was this written during lockdown, or was it a bit later on than that?
So first track was done in April 19. Right. And then basically I wasn't quite ready to, Andy sent me a song and I wasn't quite ready to get back into it again, because it affected me quite badly, the first one. But it was the second lockdown where we really sort of cracked on. First lockdown was drinking and watching TV shows, and then when get a bit bored, second lockdown was like, okay, I think we should try and be productive now. It's a good chance to do something. And then so he sent me another track during lockdown, and then the second lockdown, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. And then I just got mine done my 4 quite quickly. So yeah, there were definitely none of the lyrics are about lockdown or anything like or COVID like that, but it was things happened during lockdown, like me going vegan and stuff like that, definitely helped me sort of think about themes and stuff.
What was it that made you go into vegan then during lockdown? Was it just the fact of let's try something new and try and do something healthier and good for you?
I'd been messing around, sort of toying with going vegetarian before that, because my wife's been vegetarian since she was like 4 years old, and it's made me think more about how we treat animals, I think. And the fact that where it came from, where COVID came from, I was expecting a lot more people to think this way as well, about how we get diseases from animals and such things like this. And it just made me think. But also, we've got 2 cats, and ever since we got the cats, that made me think more about this cat is, they're not supposed to be the most intelligent animals, but they have personalities, they have likes and dislikes, and I wouldn't want anything bad happening to them. So why would I be prejudiced about, or why would I discriminate against other animals just because they're not pets or whatever? And then that just causes up more problems, because then you just think about that all the time, and how bad it is, and how not we're seen as the crazy people because we don't want to kill animals and eat them and torture them and all that sorts of stuff. Yeah, so it's just more stuff to get annoyed about in the world.
I did the same 2 years ago.
Cool.
My girlfriend's vegetarian, and she was always cooking me separate food, and like, oh, I'll do your breast and all this. And I was like, just don't bother. Like, let's just stop. I don't like the thought of eating animals, but I've done it my life, so I'll just stop. And before I knew it, it was so easy. There was so many alternatives.
Yeah,
everywhere you go now, it's like, do you want the vegan menu? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I can't go complete full vegan. I've got leather shoes and belts and stuff, but
okay.
I'm in the point where I can feel a lot healthier from it. I know I've lost weight from it, and I just feel better.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the healthiest vegan, I must say. I mean, I do eat the pea protein. I do eat a lot of the meat substitutes, not every meal, and we usually treat ourselves to a Beyond Burger at lunchtime on Saturday. But yeah, my wife cooks every night from scratch. She's a great cook. Everything she rarely uses the meat substitutes. It's always vegetable based. But yeah, she's a great cook, so I'm very lucky, and it's very easy now, I think.
It really is. Everywhere I go, it's amazing. Like, there's no chance. Like, some people are like, oh, I couldn't ever have that alternative burger, but it's like, well, McDonald's, KFC, Nando's, Burger King, they're all doing alternatives.
Have you tried the McPlants yet?
I have. It's beautiful.
It's good, isn't it? I'm a bit funny about the KFC one because there's a level of sort of effort that these companies put in, and I feel like KFC, their fries are cooked in they're not making lots of changes. They've essentially paid for corn to supply a patty, so I think that's probably where I draw the line, maybe. But McDonald's seems to be making an effort, and I think in the future, a lot of these companies, yes, they want to make money, but they're also they're not supplying. They're not in the game of supplying animals, right? They're in the game of supplying protein or whatever. And if that comes from plants and it becomes popularized, then they will switch to that. I'm sure they will not go out of business. That's for sure. I love that
people are tuning into. I can't wait to hear about this drumming and guitaring and vocals and this way the album's put together. And instead, they're hearing about how KFC isn't the best option if you want a meat substitute burger.
Sorry. No, I mean, look, if you're stuck in a petrol station and you've got nothing else to eat, then go for it. I'm not judgy at all. And also, there's going to be a time when I'm going to be stuck and I'm going to have to consider cheating or doing something. So, never say never, really. But
the hardest thing I've had to get, this is my my dog here. So this is
hello.
Yeah, the hardest thing I've had to kind of sacrifice is the 99p cheeseburger from McDonald's. I used to love them.
Oh yeah, but yeah, there's lots of things. Yeah, I mean, I think the middle class vegetarian problem is the cheese thing, isn't it? Everyone giving up cheese, but actually that didn't really bother me. I think mozzarella on pizza, someone really needs to be in a laboratory working on a really good mozzarella substitute, because I've got a pizza oven in the garden and I am missing that a bit, but it's fine.
If the podcast and your music career doesn't go as far as you want, we could just do that and we'll just become our own little vegan cheese experts to be the first that does the perfect substitute, and then we'll make millions. We won't need to do all this. It's
going to happen. I mean, I think somewhere in America synthesized sort of lactose, which I think is the key. That's the secret, isn't it? I think everyone's doing it with starches and like coconut oil, and I just don't think that's the way forward. I think if you can nail lactose synthetically, and then you can turn that into have that as a powder, and you can create proper milk. You have to recreate all the fats and the sugars, and that'd be great.
It's incredible. And back to your music.
Yes.
Obviously with the album release, and obviously that a lot of self-promotion, not spending huge money on marketing, not doing huge video budgets. Is there that little bit inside that's making you say, we should do a few gigs, we should get out there and play some shows, because you've got that itch?
Yes. All the time. I mean, I'd love to do festivals next year. I've missed all of them now. But there's always, when you're doing sort of press like this and people will say, oh, what's next? And what have you got planned for? There's the assumption that we're, there's all these offers coming in, right? And, we might make contact with people and not hear back from anyone. So it might be that we have to do it all ourselves. And if there's more COVID, if it's on the rise again and people are going to stop going to gigs again, do we want to sort of put something together and it to backfire? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's worth waiting or that's me trying to get out of it. I'm not sure, but I think we just want to. I'd love to do. I'd probably it would be nice to do a like a headline show in London for people, but I think the problem is like that means we have to get our friends to learn all the songs, and then if we just play, I feel quite bad if I
just for a one
show. Yeah, I feel quite a bit of a dickhead. So if they want to do that, that's fine, and we probably need to have that conversation. But I'd much rather get some stuff in the calendar for next year and then start working up to it. and go from there.
And are you currently writing and already looking at the follow-up to this, knowing that you guys are only a two-man team? You can do it from the comfort of your own home. I like the way you forward and send ideas to each other and add your bits in. It's not like you've got to hire out a big studio and be off work and get certain time off to be and create.
Yeah, so I've got an idea for an EP that I'd like to put out next year. I really want to get cracking on just keep going, really, because we were away for a few years and don't want people to sort of wait that long again. I won't say what it is, but it is film related, and it's something I want to work on sort of over the cold winter and then record in the spring and then get it out sort of end of next year. But that should be a fun thing to do, I think.
You say film related. I'm an absolute huge film buff, and I'm like, come on, talk to me, tell me more.
But it might be, like our versions of themes or something like that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, from an era that an era, not Avengers or anything like that.
No,
superhero stuff.
What are your passionate films then? 80s, I love talking film.
80s. Well, I'm in a room surrounded. I built this like 90s safe haven for myself, so I'm surrounded by films that not necessarily my favorite films, but iconic posters.
Yeah,
I've got an original T2 poster here, and I've got a Starship Troopers poster, I've got a RoboCop poster. I mean, some of those are my favorite films, but I've randomly got like an Independence Day original cinema quad, and that's not even one of my favorite films, but it reminds me of going to the cinema when I was a kid and being excited and liking stuff. And I'm a bit of a grouch these days, so all of this stuff is sort of around me to sort of help inspire me and help put me in a place where I was sort of into things more. There was that book, it was by a French writer. It's like J.K. Wiesmann is Against the Grain, and the protagonist is basically fills his apartment with artworks and things that he likes, and it basically means he doesn't have to go anywhere because he doesn't really like going anywhere. And it's just he creates his own little world in his apartment, and that's kind of what I've done here. I've got an arcade machine in the corner and a CRT TV, like I play video games, and your little man cave. Yeah, it's my bat cave, and I can write here, I can edit, I've got a voiceover booth that's soundproof, so I can do my screaming in there, so I can warm up for shows or recording. It's great.
Oh, I could talk films forever, and the classic cinema posters, even if they're not the greatest films, there's something about it. It just brings back all the childhood of going into the cinema and then on your way in or way out, seeing something that's coming soon. You'd be like, we wouldn't have Netflix or that whole Amazon Prime or anything. You'd just be like, oh my God, we've got to come back and see this, because if we don't, it could be 2 years until it comes out on video.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my favorite film list changes quite a fair bit. My top 10 is pretty solid. I mean, things like Goodfellas, Good Will Hunting, Leon, Chungking Express, Hong Kong movie, The Apartment, big Billy Wilder fan, Woody Allen stuff as well.
Leon's one of my favorite of all time. The director,
great, isn't it?
That extra sort of 25 minutes, and Natalie Portman's performance is just,
she's great.
Matilda is just mind-blowing, like genuinely one of the best child performances I've ever seen.
And that Eric Serra score is great as well, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I might actually watch that after today's interview.
Have you got a 4K player or anything like that?
Yeah, 4K player.
The 4K version's great.
It's beautiful.
Really nice.
There's a lot of controversy about the director's cut, because obviously there's a slight hint that he's got like a relationship with her. But
the dinner scene and stuff. Yeah, it is a bit of I can see why they cut it. But Gary Oldman in that film, oh my goodness. I mean, every time I watch it, I just forget how good he is in that film.
He's completely unhinged. He's just amazing.
Yeah, just completely transformed. It's nothing like him. It's incredible. So good. I remember watching that we were on a holiday in like a caravan park in the New Forest when it came out. I think it was on Sky or something on the TV, and we watched it on holiday. And I was probably about 12 or 13. But yeah,
amazing.
With my parents.
It's so good. It's genuinely a masterpiece. And
I've been to his apartment in New York. When I go on holiday, instead of doing tourist things, I go to places that are from like films.
Yeah, I do the same.
It depends where it is. So if it's New York, every time I go to New York, there's always a new film. I think of the film and I do the research, and I'll just basically go around. So I think the last time I was in New York was a couple of months ago, and I ended up going to the film, the bar, the Irish pub that's in Goodfellas, which is still in is it New Haven? It's near JFK, and I went there for a pint, and they've got pictures of De Niro on the walls and stuff, and it's hardly changed. So you can see there's plaques on the wall where you look at the film and the same stuff as the same cupboards there. Yeah, it's great. So, yeah, I'm quite into doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I went to Philadelphia a couple of years ago, did all around the Rocky where shop is, the gym, and then I went to New York, went to like the hotel that's in Almost Famous and all that. I love it. I love going and just being like, yep, I know exactly this was the spot where this happened.
It's much better than going to well, you could say Statue of Liberty if you like Ghostbusters 2, but somewhere where like an art gallery where you're told to go there because this, or museums like this is interesting because we've got loads of old stuff in here, and it's way better just to you're linking something that you're really into. If you go to a location, you're bringing yourself to it as well, and what it makes you feel about it. It's great.
I love it. I went to the I'm sure you've done the same, the Ghostbusters Firehouse in New York.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I haven't done it for a while. I'm now getting an itch. I'm like, I need to do it again.
I did one of my favorite movies as well, Saturday Night Fever. Nice. I've got an original quad in our basement, and I spent one New York trip sort of going around Bay Ridge area and going to the locations from that, and ended up in a the dance club that they sort of rehearsed for the big dance at the end is now like a massage parlor. Ended up going in for a massage just so I could get in the building and have a nose around.
Medical.
And it took me a while because I'm married. It took me a while to I got in there. I thought, hang on a second, it's not a dodgy one, is
honestly, sweetheart, it's because of the film.
Yes, yeah. I tried to explain it to her at dinner, and she was like, "What did you do today?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry."
Amazing. I could talk movies all day and definitely locations, and New York for me was one of the best, especially like Coney Island as well for the Warriors.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've done Coney Island, for the Warriors and for Requiem for Dream and Annie Hall.
So with the kind of music scene the way it is at the moment, and it's quite hard to push CD sales. It's all changed. I suppose, is your main passion now just for people to hear your music if it doesn't matter what platform? I know on something like Spotify you'd need like 1 million streams to make enough to buy a bloody Big Mac meal, but is it a case of like trying to hope that people invest now? Because I see how much of a waiting list there is on vinyl and production of that, etc. Does that kind of delay release?
Yeah, we're not doing physical this time. We made this decision straight away that we weren't going to do it. No one's buying CDs. Maybe some people in Germany. We had a comment on Facebook recently. Some dude, Johnny Dickface from wherever. I don't know. It's like I won't listen to albums if they've not come out on CD. It's like, all right, well, all right, cool, bro. If you want me to burn it on a CDR and send it to you, write with marker pen the ever living artificial devices on it, I'll send it to you and you can listen to it. But with the vinyl thing, massive backlog. My wife tried buying me the it's not a Kickbox, the Bloodsport soundtrack on vinyl for my birthday, and it's just not turned up. That was in March. It was a pre-order. It's just not arrived. I think that there are probably problems at the plant. We don't have to worry about that stress this time. But we are going to release a T-shirt. We're going to do a small number of T-shirts, and people can get those. But unless there's a huge demand for it, I don't think we're going to bother. Like you say, I'm just happy to get the stuff out there and move on to the next one.
I like the attitude you take for it, and it's quite relaxed and a bit, in a respectful way, quite blasé. Like it doesn't matter. You haven't got these urgent people telling you have to release a vinyl, you have to get a CD out there, you have to tour. You're doing what you want.
Yeah, a lot of it is correcting mistakes from the first album, because the first album we went all in, we went all guns blazing, and we were talking to labels and they were saying that it was too long and we'd have to cut tracks because they didn't want to pay for a double vinyl, stuff like that. So we ended up going, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. Putting out a double vinyl was more expensive, and then but we were able to do it completely ourselves, complete control over it. But we've still got some boxes hanging around in my attic, and I'd rather them not be. I don't want to add to it. I don't want more boxes. So I think tastes are changing. I just think the CD thing's just not needed anymore, especially for a band our size. One T-shirt design. You say blasé. I mean, I spend a lot of time. I've anxiety problems also. I spend a lot of time thinking at a band. I'm always thinking about it, but not playing, not doing, physical, not playing shows might come across that we don't care and we don't want to do it, but we think about it all the time, and everything's done on purpose. Everything's been thought through. Whether it works or not, or whether we're correct or not, it has been thought.
Yeah, but you'll learn from it. You learn from it from your first release. There might be stuff on the second release where you're like, damn it, we should have done a run of vinyl because we've got loads of people asking or something. But it's all the experience of basically just constantly evolving, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I would have. There's already marketing stuff that I will tweak for next time, because I do tend to take on too much on my own, and I could probably do a bit more help next time. But you learn.
My final question is, and I think you've heard this if you've listened to the Brandon Boyd episode, is I asked the guest to choose the piece of music that's the final piece of music. You've probably got a bit of a heads up, and sometimes I like people being put on the spot. But is there a song that you'd love to choose as your outro piece of music today?
Because it was the last gig I went to recently, and it was the first gig in like a year. I went to see Grandaddy at the Palladium, and they did Software Slump with an orchestra.
I've not heard that band for years.
I know, that's a great album. My wife got me into it, and they did him doing a piano version with an orchestra. So I think it'd be from that, and it'd be Jed the Humanoid, because I'm not really a lyric person. It's the music for me, and the lyrics. My lyrics are quite abstract. I start with an idea and a theme, and then I just go for it. But never really got into lyrics when I was an angsty teenager getting into the music. I wasn't reading them obsessively or reading the meaning into them. It was always the music. But I love that track. It's a very sad track, and I know what the song's about, but for some reason, hearing it live, stripped down with the piano and the orchestra, all I was listening to was the lyrics, and I really paid attention to them for the first time. And it's really sad. I almost got quite upset. It's a beautiful song. Yeah, it's lovely. So it's Jed the Humanoid by Grandaddy.
That'll be now the next couple of weeks for me, now revisiting Grandaddy after probably about 10, 15 years, and be like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, I think that first track on the first album was using Charlie Brooker's Screen Wipe, so I think that got some airtime.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. But yeah, that second album was incredible.
Amazing. Thank you for your time today, Chris. It's been a pleasure. I like the way that this conversation went all everywhere and a bit of everything.
Yeah,
I love
too much vegan stuff. Sorry to the meat eaters. You probably didn't want to hear all that, but yeah.
No, it's good. And I've seen a lot of my close friends recently telling me they want to change their life, and they're starting to try and be healthier. And I'm seeing a massive uplift in a lot of my friends now, not just taking the piss out of me and getting on board and trying new things. And they're all like, God, it tastes so great. I'm like, yeah. So, stop being ignorant.
I think, in the future, people will look back at this time and just be like, they did what? They were eating animals? That's really weird. I think things like smoking, eating animals will just be seen as very weird.
And CDs.
Well, weird disc. I know, because they'll still have vinyl in the future, won't they? They won't have anything to play them on. They'll just be collecting them.
Somebody said to me the other day that CD's about to come back, and I'm like, I bloody hope so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I don't understand the cassette thing. Can you explain that to me? People putting fucking cassettes out? Seriously, is anyone walking around with Walkmans and listening to?
I think it's because of stuff like Stranger Things. I think everyone wants to have a Walkman and be cool, and Guardians of the Galaxy. I think everyone wants to just
merchandise
with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like that band Health. Great production on their stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want to listen to it on a fucking CD.
No,
sorry, a cassette. Sorry,
never.
No, all right.
Awesome, dude. I'll say goodbye, wrap this all up, but I really appreciate you coming on the episode. Good luck with the album. I hope people start, investing, and I reckon before long, I can predict it, you will be out there playing some shows. I think you're going to get the itch, and people are going to be like, come on!
I think so too. Thanks for having me.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and Chris from The Ever Living. As I said at the start of today's interview, this is a band that I've only recently got into, but I'm absolutely loving them, and the album is out now. It's their latest album, and you should go and check it out. It's called Artificial Devices, and it's literally on Spotify or Apple Music or any of the streaming platforms. And once you listen, please, please, please let me know, because if I've helped you during Mark and me find a brand new band, that's the best compliment that I can get. I want to say now a massive thanks for Chris for coming on the show. It was an honour to have you on, and I really hope our paths cross again in the near future. If you're new to Mark and Me and you've enjoyed today's episode, all I ask is you to share it on either your Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. It costs you absolutely nothing to do and it's just a touch of a button. It can mean so much to me and get so many new listeners and be seen by a whole new audience. So you might think it doesn't mean much, but it does. Just hitting that retweet button on Twitter or posting it on your stories on Instagram can bring a whole new set of listeners to me, and that's something that money can't buy. I don't make any money out of this podcast. It's purely a passion project, but what I do have is a Patreon page set up. Each and every month, thanks to my amazing friends at Richer Sounds, I have some fantastic prizes to give away. This is my way of saying thank you for supporting the podcast, because I have hosting costs, travel costs, and I need to go out there and do as many interviews as I can. And to do this, I need support via Patreon. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, the link is on markandme.com. For less than £1 a month, you're guaranteed at least 2 episodes a week and some exclusive badges for signing up, some stickers, and I'll surprise you with lots more gifts throughout the year. I just want you to please know that it might only be £1, but it goes a huge way in supporting this podcast. I'll be back in only a few days' time with a brand new episode. Things are never going to start slowing down for Mark and Me. There's some huge announcements coming and I can't wait to share them all with you. So until the next episode, look after yourself, take care, listen to the ever living, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Something pretty bad happened. We lost a friend, all shocked and broken, shut down, exploded. Jetty 3 is what we first called him. Then it was Jet, but Jet system's dead. Therefore, so's Jet. Assembled him in the kitchen, made out of this end, made out of that end, whatever was at hand. When we finished Jed, we were so proud. We celebrated, we congratulated at what we'd created. Jed could run or walk, sing or talking, compile thoughts and solve lots of problems. We learned so much from him. Couple years went by and something happened. We gave Jed less attention. We had new inventions. We left for convention.
Jed had found her booze and drank every drop. He fizzled out